So I'll start. I am Michelle Klein. I'm the executive assistant at Medco, and kind of am in charge of setting up our meetups. And it's always great to hear from a variety of people. But I'm going to pick on Heidi first. Hey, Heidi. Heidi knows me more from probably Potter's Obsession in school.
I do. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. And we had just talked about that long ago. So, Heidi, do you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll just go around the bend.
Yeah, I'm Heidi Hora. I'm with the American Heart Association, representing Cedar Rapids, Marion, Hiawatha area. And Cathy and I know each other from a long time ago.
Morning, Heidi.
Morning, and congratulations. When I saw this come through, I'm like, I've been hearing about you. I have to know more. So congratulations.
Thank you. Now I feel like I'm talking to a friend. Thank you.
There you go.
All right, Alex.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Alex. I work for Ujo Software Consultancy Company. We work with the after-seed round startups, build their mobile and desktop or any type of MVP to see if there's a product market fit, or they try to raise angel investments on top of the product we built for them. So we are basically technology consultants for startups.
Cool. Glad you're with us. Okay, Brady.
Morning. Sorry, I'll get my video on. Had to run a computer to someone that forgot it. So fun morning. I'm Brady Quinn. I'm with Medco, business retention and small business specialist. Started here back in November. Super excited to hear from Cathy. Know she's a Marionite and was able to pivot out of this fun past year we've had. So super interested to hear about, hear from her and kind of how all this happened and how things are going, and how we can all try some new freeze-dried foods. So looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us, Cathy, and everyone else as well. So,
well, thanks for the great welcome. I appreciate it. So,
yes.
Yeah. Cathy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Julie, you caught us just in time for introductions.
Oh, goodness. Okay, just a second.
All right, we'll give you a minute to just settle in. Hold on, we'll hear from
Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Early in California, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So,
Julie,
and then I realized I had registered, and then I'm like, oh God, okay, trying to get set up. So anyway.
Are you in California, Julie?
Yeah, I came out in the middle of February, like on one of those around Valentine's Day when it was really cold.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
I love it. Well, do you want to do a quick intro, and then we're going to let Cathy get started?
Yep, no problem. So, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, Julie Lammers with the Small Business Development Center, and I live in Marion, though I'm in California, just checking it out for a month or so during the Iowa cold winters. And of course, Scott Swenson and I help small businesses and whatever they need in terms of starting, growing, or selling. So glad to be here.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right, Cathy, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. And thank you for sharing your valuable time with me. When Michelle asked me to present, I was all excited. And then I found out it was a Zoom meeting, and I was like, oh, I won't be able to share my freeze-dried foods with you guys to sample. So I apologize for that. But I've got a bunch of photos, so hope you get a feel for kind of what freeze-dried food is all about. I'll try not to waste your time. I'm a meat and potatoes type of person. So as long as I can leave a function and learn at least one new thing. So hopefully, you can get something out of this. If not, maybe it's just great meeting you, and we'll have connections in other ways. So I just have a real quick agenda today, just my background and journey, and then starting an online freeze-dried food business, some freeze-dried food information, and then if we have time and you want, time for Q&A. So as far as my background goes, most of my life I've been in restaurants and hotels and retail, but mainly hotels. I was a general manager, and I opened and managed 3 hotels in the Cedar Rapids area, the American over by the airport, and then the 2 Hilton properties over in North Cedar Rapids, the Hampton Inn and Suites and the Homewood Suites. And then I transitioned into a regional sales position for a hotel company. And that kind of evolved. The company was growing really fast. So I changed and transitioned a little bit to doing planning grand openings and groundbreakings and doing all the pre-opening work for the new hotels. So when the pandemic hit, I knew that I was going to be the first one to go. Nobody was going to events. The new hotel projects kind of slowed. I was just waiting for the act. So maybe I had a little bit more mental, readiness for for that axe to finally fall. So, in the meantime, I was thinking, what is it that I can do that makes sense in these crazy times? So, first of all, I know there's a lot of people on spring break, but I didn't know if anybody on this call is familiar with freeze-dried foods. Maybe raise your hand. Awesome. Got one. I don't see Heidi's screen, but apologize, Heidi. And then who's tried freeze-dried foods? Nobody?
I don't know.
Maybe Julia, she doesn't remember. And then, oh, there's Heidi. Awesome. And then who lost all their food in their fridge and freezers during the derecho? 2?
Just a little.
Just a little bit. Okay, that's good. Just kind
Brady's
of
here.
curious.
We lost our whole fridge and freezer during derecho, so that was
Oh, isn't that a bummer?
Yep.
But yeah, I appreciate your feedback. Don't worry, I won't call on you guys a lot during the video, but if you want to interject or add anything additional or correct me on anything, I'm always open for anything. Why I chose freeze-dried food business, obviously I wanted something recession-proof, and if everybody loves and needs food, of course. I was familiar with the freeze-dried food market and what was currently out there retail wise and in the grocery stores. And during the derecho, I'm not sorry, not during the derecho, during COVID, I noticed a lot of the large freeze drying companies out there were actually selling out. I was looking for something with a long shelf life, with a lower risk. And then I thought, well, if if it doesn't work out, I still have inventory I can eat. So I was like, it's not that huge of a risk compared to a lot of other entrepreneurs who have to take that leap and leave their job to start their own business. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Some of the first steps business wise that I did, I think the biggest part was reaching out and making sure everything that I wanted to do was legal, because what I wanted to do was not invest or take too much risk and invest too much at the beginning. I wanted to see if I could build a commercial kitchen, a small commercial kitchen in my home and sell online, maybe sell at farmers markets. So what I did was, luckily I contacted the state and the county at the same time, because the person at the Lynn County level, I'll be honest with you, didn't even let me get a sentence out and said, no, there's no way you can do that. But half hour later, the gentleman from the state called and said, oh, heck yeah, you can. So he was familiar with freeze-dried foods and the safety. And so the gentleman from the state was the boss of the Lynn County gentleman. And I think he kind of filled him in about freeze drying. And then also, I think the unique thing was the person I talked to at the county was probably used to the stricter rules of Cedar Rapids, whereas Marion was a little more lenient. So my third call, of course, before I could get the go, was calling the Marion officials, which, yay, Marion, they allow having a commercial kitchen in your home. They still have certain rules. I can't have people coming to my house, as far as the health department, there's a lot of rules there too. So I wanted to make sure I followed all of those. I got my food manager license, sales tax, I had to learn all the rules for the food business. And back to the state and county, I guess my piece of advice on that is don't always believe the first person that tells you no. Keep going. I had to learn the packaging side of things, had to get insurance, which was difficult. There's a lot of liability as far as having, a food business. Had to learn the competitors, the product and pricing, set up banking and PayPal, um, learn what different food suppliers were providing. And then the unique thing about freeze-dried foods is that I had to actually freeze dry everything first so that I could get my freeze-dried weight and my net weight so that I could put it on my packaging. So there was a little bit of R&D involved before I could even start. Working on a business plan and financial statements. And I guess, where did I learn about freeze drying and the tips of the trade and things like that? Actually aren't a lot of books out there, but there's a lot of Facebook groups that actually share a lot of ideas. So it's actually where I learned a lot of what other people were doing, what was working, what wasn't. I did learn that a lot of people that do freeze drying can't sell from their homes unless they had a commercial kitchen. So most people were doing like farmers markets and fruits and candies and things like that. But I wanted to expand on that. So the next step that I did was building and stocking a commercial kitchen and doing it in a way that satisfied the health department. So, I worked with my contractor and he worked with an electrician who had built a restaurant in Marion. So he knew exactly, what was required, what wasn't. And here's a picture of my very small commercial kitchen. It doesn't show the freezer and the fridge over there on, just shows the freezer and the fridge a little bit on the left and the right, and then there's a work table beyond that. And then I had to have a 3-compartment sink, a hand washing sink, a mop utility sink. You're not allowed to have any pets. So I guess that would be a barrier to somebody who really loved their pets and they couldn't open a commercial kitchen in their home. And then, of course, like I said before, getting my food manager's training and license. I did have restaurant experience in the past, so a lot of that wasn't too much of a learning curve. It took 3 months to get my freeze drying equipment because there was such a demand after COVID. A lot of my equipment was being delivered the day of the derecho. So I had to call FedEx and say, you can't even get to my street. Can you hold on to all that stuff? So I did have to hold off. And then after the derecho, I couldn't get my contractors and other subcontractors to finish my kitchen because everybody had trees in their roofs and I couldn't complain about that. So it was kind of a crazy time to open a business. Some of the other things I did to save money, I went to online auctions and, anybody else who might be interested in opening a restaurant or something like that, I signed up for the free shipping from webstaurant.com for a month. And then I just discontinued the service, so you can get all that, a lot of stuff delivered for free, which of course, equipment shipping is very expensive. So that saved me some money. And then the other big thing that I had to decide, since I was mainly going to be doing an online business, was what type of website provider I wanted to choose. My husband did set up a website, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And I just didn't want to spend all that time going through that avenue, that website provider. And I checked into Shopify, and I think the clincher for me on choosing that was that it was recommended by SCORE, which was the Retired Executives Association. So that I was like, well, if SCORE recommends it, that makes me feel a little bit better. And so some of the things I list, the pros on what I like about Shopify it's super easy. I'm not a techie person, and I was able to set up my own website. It's inexpensive. It's $29 to host. There's different levels, of course. As your business grows, you can expand. A lot of the templates are free. I chose one that was, I believe, like $180. So that worked with my type of business. They help you manage your payments, shipping. They have a point of sale system if you have a brick and mortar, or if you want to just do like a pop-up or a small retail. They assist you with delivery. They do give you some reportings, but there are upgrades available, and I haven't checked into that yet. They help you with your taxes. They have legal templates, and then they also assist with inventory management. I know you guys can all read, but and then the other wonderful thing about Shopify is they have easy integrations with different sales channels like Google and Facebook. There's just hundreds of different companies that they partner with that allow easy integration. I mean, anything you could possibly want for your business. They've got review sites. I've got email and newsletter sites. The only thing I've run into is that I'm not popping up on Google yet. And I was like, well, maybe it's because it takes a while to get out there, but I have been reading that that I might need to hire a Shopify expert. They're found a little bit differently on Google. So that is important because everybody goes through Google. So that is my next thing that I'm going to be doing this week. Some of the marketing I've done, the only thing that I hired a graphic designer for was getting the image for my logo. And I think she nailed it. I use Vistaprint. I mean, that's really inexpensive for almost anything. They don't require minimums. Banners for farmers market, business cards, uniforms, masks, decals. The other thing I've done for marketing, on a low budget, is I'm just using my phone, and I ordered like an inexpensive light box where I take images of my products. I know that my photos can be better, but I will be working on that going forward. But I did want to get my website launched. So social media and marketing, digital marketing, probably piece of advice I give you if you start an online business is, even if you don't utilize everything right from the beginning, make sure that you reserve all these social media sites in your name, or make sure they're at least available before you even pick a name. I'm on all of these right now. I'm not an expert on any of them. I'm currently advertising on Google, Facebook, and Bing. Twitter, I don't utilize, but I did, like I said, I did save my name, but I need to get on there as well. And YouTube, I just saved it just so that I could have my name. So, but Facebook has probably been the best for me so far. They've had a bunch of different ways to promote my products, and I have had some great online sales due to Facebook. So, but you do have to pay for that. Some of the shipping things that I had to learn, because I didn't have to do that in my previous positions. There's a lady over at the Marion Post Office. She was very helpful. She's because all of my products are really light, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't, right now I'm paying more for shipping than sometimes some of the products, and I wanted to try to get it as cost effective as possible. So I was really surprised that the person from the post office recommended using XPS Ship. So right now I use Shopify. They have discounted prices on shipping. But if somebody didn't have Shopify or another web provider, XPS Ship is free, and you can get discounted shipping costs. And what's nice is, you put in the dimensions and the weight, and you get to choose the least expensive option, whether it's UPS, USPS, FedEx. So, and they've got some great reporting as well. I personally get my shipping supplies from Uline and Granger, and ways that I've saved money from shipping are, if you can get it under 16 ounces, it saves me almost more than $2 a package, which is nice. And as long as your boxes are under 17, sorry, my screen is, I see you guys on the bottom, I can't see my screen. Boxes under 1,728 cubic inches, that saves you a lot of money on shipping as well. So, as Michelle was stating earlier, I was very fortunate. The last month and a half, I have gotten amazing press. I sent out a press release to anybody and everybody, newspapers, radio, city leaders, chambers, economic development. And the first person who bit was the Iowa City Press Citizen. It was a gentleman that I think he did culture and entertainment. And I was like, oh, it's, not really my audience. But after that, I woke up, I think one Saturday morning, and I got an email from a lady on Facebook, and she was saying, asking me questions about my business. And she's like, yeah, it was a really nice article in the Des Moines Register. And I was like, what? And so, on that bottom page there, they did almost a full page in the Des Moines Register. So that was awesome. And then the Corridor Business Journal did a little snippet on me, but then a reporter came back and said he wanted to do a story. And then over on the left-hand side are all the different places, businesses that have reached out and done a story themselves, or some of them kind of copycatted the story. I'll have to admit, the radio station, I don't know what they did. They found a picture of a ratty freezer with, I don't know what was going on there, and I had to say, well, I don't know what the heck that is, but that's not my business. And they I don't know, they just made up a story, but they did change it, they did correct it. But everybody else either created their own story, or they reran some of the stories that were done by reporters. So Marion today did a really great job, which I was excited for, because it's my local community and I do deliver. So that's about it. So mainly, my advice is just, make sure you get a press release and follow up if nobody gets back to you. And hopefully it's a slow news day. That's probably what happened to me. So some of the benefits of freeze drying, like I said, I'm just going to throw in some photos of some different freeze-dried foods so you can get a visual. The main thing, it's shelf stable up to 25 years. It locks in 97% of the food's nutrition. A lot of cooks like it because they don't have to worry about doing prep. It's lighter for hunting and camping, biking even. And then you can freeze dry almost anything: meat, dairy, eggs, cheese, you name it. Smoothies. I mean, you can do almost anything. Save time, money, and space, because you're not having as much waste. I know a lot of people, sometimes if they don't see that fruit or vegetable in the fridge, they forget about it, and it sometimes goes to waste, or sometimes they can't eat it all. Freeze drying actually does lock in the flavor and freshness too, and I think it brings it out even more on especially fruits. So, and it's just available for quick, unique, healthy snacks. Like personally, my husband and I, we have jars of freeze-dried snacks on our counters. So it inspires a little bit more healthy eating. If you see the fruits and the cheeses, and I got a new one now, edamame, so you can just snack on it whenever you want. Don't have to worry about the fridge and freezer. Limit trips to the grocery store. That's nice during a pandemic as well. And then of course, a lot of people buy freeze-dried foods for emergency food storage. So this kind of talks about just the different shelf life comparison between dehydrated foods, canned foods, and frozen foods. and then once you open a package of freeze-dried food, it usually lasts up to a year in most items, as long as you're keeping it in a sealed container. And on the bottom, I just thought that that was an interesting fact, that not even just the United States, but worldwide, 17% of food is wasted at a consumable level. So I just thought that was shocking. So the freeze-dried food process, in a nutshell, basically what it's doing is taking your food, taking the frozen food down to -40 degrees, sometimes colder, and then it's a pump comes on, and it creates a negative pressure, a low pressure setting, sorry, and that creates something called sublimation, where it changes it from a frozen liquid state, or I'm sorry, a frozen state to a gaseous state. It doesn't go back to liquid. So that is, and then it dries one more time, and that is the reason a lot of foods can last up to 25 years, because you're taking all the moisture out. And another thing, on the bottom, I believe you guys can see, the process is a little bit longer. It takes anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, depending on the type of food. Some foods with like higher sugars, like pineapple, are my hardest foods to do. I mean, sometimes it takes up to 60 hours to do pineapple. So benefits of freeze-dried over dehydration. I just have a picture of kind of like on the left-hand side what freeze-dried fruit might look like compared to the dehydrated. Dehydration is more of a heat process. It does shrink, the food item, and then it also loses a lot of its nutrients because because of the heat process. Freeze drying also, like we discussed earlier, it is a lot lighter, 70 to 90% lighter. And it says, yeah, there we go. And here we go. Some of the foods that can be freeze dried: fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy, cheese, eggs, meals, candy. I think desserts and ice cream, coffees and smoothies. I mean, some of my customers are outdoor enthusiasts, campers, bikers, like we discussed, preppers, people that are interested in long-term food storage, people with limited fridge and freezer space, dorms, care facilities. I know, like my grandma was in a care facility, and they just had their specific meals that they go to, but if they wanted snacks, they had them in their room, and this way you could give your grandma some freeze-dried fruits and she could have them in her room and not worry about it. RVers, van lifers, long haul truckers, and mainly cooks love it too, because it's the convenience. Or even families, everybody's so busy that it's nice to have certain things already prepared that you can add to your recipes, especially if you don't like cutting up onions and jalapenos. That's a nice benefit. Storing freeze-dried foods for long shelf life. I mean, here I have an example of my packaging and the red and green peppers. I use 7 mil Mylar bags, and I use oxygen absorbers. And then my packages are technically they're sealed 3 times, because there's a Ziploc on the front, on the top, and then I seal them twice on the top. So, a lot of grocery stores, I noticed, or farmers markets, if you see freeze-dried foods and they're in the clear packaging, they're probably only going to last a couple months. Where I just want to give people the option, if they did want to store it longer, storing them in these bags gives them the ability to do that. Rehydrating foods. Here I have an example of some of my soups. am gonna be expanding my meal options going in the future. I have stew on the left, loaded baked potato soup in the middle, and beef and bean chili on the right with some freeze-dried cheese on top. It's real simple, especially if you're camping. You just add water, close the bag, wait 10-15 minutes, well, stir, and then wait 15 minutes, and then if you're hydrating other foods, let's just say onions or garlic, all you need to do is add it to your recipes. So you don't have to even worry about hydrating. You might just want to add a little bit extra of the liquids that you're using. Some people get confused when they've ordered my products. They're like, what, like my dad as an example, I think he heard me talking about adding hot water, freeze-dried foods, and he's like, I added hot water to the strawberries, and I'm like, no, you don't do that. But with the fruits and desserts and cheese and veggies, you can actually just snack on those right out of the bag, or you can rehydrate them. Like with the fruits, you can add them to cereals, smoothies. You can even grind them up and make a powder and make smoothies out of them. Desserts you can just eat as a snack. And veggies, like I said, you can eat as a snack. I have edamame, that's a great snack, or if you, most everything else, I don't have any salt added or anything like that. So here's just a picture of some more of my freeze-dried foods, so you get a visual of some unique things. On the left, I have the shredded beef. On the top there, it's a cult favorite online, I don't know why, is freeze-dried Skittles. It kind of explodes, so people kind of think that's a fun thing. So that's really popular. My personal favorite, I like the pumpkin pie bites. If you like pumpkin pie, you'll probably like the pumpkin pie bites. There's a picture of my edamame, and the only thing that I freeze dry raw is the powdered eggs, and that is because that's one of when you hydrate it, it's just like scrambled eggs. So you can cook it how you normally would with scrambled eggs. If I were to freeze dry already prepared eggs, those would come out rubbery. So that's the only reason that I don't. I do it this way, and it comes out. Nobody would be able to tell the difference. Behind my logo, well, shelf to table, I think it kind of speaks for itself. You know, just you want to take something off the shelf and you can use it. You don't have to worry about your fridge or freezer. But I had talked to my designer and I was like, well, is there a way to get the word shelf to table in there? And then also make it look like shelf stable, because I want, you know, they're shelf stable foods. And then the black swan. A lot of people, you know, may not be familiar with what that signifies, but it's an event that it's extremely rare and unexpected, but has very significant consequences. And unfortunately, I think we've all experienced that in the last however year and a year and a half. So it's basically kind of a reminder just to tell people to prepare for unexpected events. So I've been rambling quite a bit. Does anybody have any questions, or stop me anytime?
I just have a question about, like, kind of, like you said, you pivoted, founded this company, and now you're all in on it. What was kind of good or bad or easy or hard for you as far as resources go? I know you talk about Google, so I'm sure Google led you down, helped you a lot. But just if there's anything specific that was helpful locally, or I think that's the big thing we like to hear about, is just ways Medco could help better, or other local organizations that I think you mentioned. Did you say SCORE too? So yeah, just want to
Yes.
hear your experience, Cathy.
No, I've had, I can't complain at all. And then Julie's looking right at me right in the middle there. I also reached out to the SBDC. I had originally received not the best advice. Somebody had told me that I should just sign up for a sole proprietorship. But later on, I realized I needed to really do an LLC, especially when you're talking about food products and things like that. So I was led to the SBDC, and Julie Lammers, I hope you don't mind me pointing you out, but she gave me step-by-step easy instructions on how to file for an LLC without hiring a lawyer. And the state of Iowa was great. They had it done the same day. It was, I mean, if I gave any advice at all, is, and I have this later in my presentation, reach out for help. It's there. And what Julie sent me was just, it was great, step by step with links. I mean, she couldn't have made it any simpler for me. So thank you, Julie, so much for that. Does that answer your question a little bit, Brady?
No, that was a perfect plug for them. So I appreciate that. And it's just always good to hear that, you know, when you need, when there's help, you have an option like Julie, or I know Scott obviously as well. So that's awesome, Cathy. And yeah, congrats. It's really cool to see this, and the logo makes sense, and a reminder of, like you said, where you came from, and where you're going as well with it. So excited to try some here. I need to get an order in, and like I said,
and I'm not.
I was laughing about it though, because I was like looking at no peanut butter, no chocolate, no bread, and no bacon. That's like my 9-year-old boy's like half his diet. So well, I need to expand his horizons, Cathy. So I appreciate this, and this is exciting for you, and we're here to support you here in Marion for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Brady. Great question. I appreciate the support.
Yep.
And I might have ways you guys can help me in the future, and that's on my goals page. So, and that actually segues great into if I'm going to be expanding, probably the next thing I need to be looking into is finding a residential / commercial location with an option of a small retail front. Since my business is 24/7, I want to be close to my machines. If something happens and my machines turn off, or I mean, sometimes you don't know when something might be done. I don't have to be a slave to my machines, but I do have to, like, okay, I'm going to add time until I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. or whatever, you know what I mean? So, you know, my husband and I did talk about it, and we're like, you know, maybe we need to find a place where we can live above it and have commercial and maybe a small retail up front. That's kind of where we're at right now. Also, I really enjoy meeting people, and I think people are really curious about freeze-dried foods and they want to try them. So me personally, I want to get out and talk with people. So maybe doing a couple farmers markets or retail pop-ups. I know that Nubo has a really good, for anybody on this video, Nubo has a really great hatchery program. I definitely recommend you looking into that. They're looking for small business owners and startups and things like that. So maybe I'll be able to do a retail pop-up with them. My other goal, like I discussed earlier, is hiring a Shopify expert to grow my SEO and growing my online business. And if I can inspire anybody, especially my neighbors, I want all my neighbors to be prepared. You know, I don't want them knocking on my door going, you got all that food? You know what I mean? So just inspiring people to prepare for their families. So oh, and then I forgot on the bottom, maybe for the future too, partnering with community groups or emergency management as well. So, and I deliver. That's why, you know, Medco, you guys are so important. I used to be really involved in Marion. I used to volunteer for the chamber. I think that was before Medco was really big and really you guys, I know you have a really strong presence now in Marion, and you've made a lot of great things happen. But yeah, I'd like to get more involved in the community again, like I used to. That was 20 years ago, Brady, probably before you were born. So I touched on this already. SCORE. Oh, I talked about SBDC and Julie Lammers, how wonderful she is. I also reach out to SCORE. Just a reminder, sometimes you might have to reach out to them a couple of times, but I have a SCORE mentor and he has been wonderful. I think for me personally, he's helped me actually slow down a little bit and not make too many rash decisions. And I don't have you guys seen a lot of people have seen Karate Kid, right? Is this my audience here? Kind of. Anyway, you're like, so in Karate Kid, he wanted to learn how to do karate, and he was wondering why his mentor was making him wax his car and things like that. And so my SCORE mentor made me, slow down a bit, and like, I need a business plan. I need this. I need this. I'm like, and inside I was like, it's slowing me down. I need to do production, but it really did help me stop and focus. And like he said, he goes, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for direction, which was really what that did for me. So SCORE mentors, also reach out to them. It's great to have other people to give you their honest advice, which I really appreciate. I also am certified as a TSB, certified business as a 100% women-owned business, and I do have a list of requirements there if anybody watches this video to take advantage of that. What this does is it enables you to do business with government entities. So I haven't been able to maximize that benefit yet, but that's something I will be working on as well. And as far as my favorite quote or motto is, obviously, I was a Girl Scout. So, and I didn't realize too, it's also the Boy Scout motto is be prepared. So it kind of just fits in my business. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, comments, suggestions, or you can reach out to me personally if you want. I have my information there.
Hey, Cathy, it's Heidi again. Great job and congratulations again. I think this is super exciting and proud of you for taking a leap of doing something different in a challenging circumstance of furlough. Question that I have for you, or something maybe if you would consider. So I have a lot of picky eaters at my house. So I did check out your website, and I guess my slight hesitance is knowing if my family would eat it. To like buy like a full size bag, but would you ever consider like creating like a sample like pack where like there'd be enough where you could pick like two or four servings of just like smaller things so that we could try it to see if they would, because I would hate to buy it all and then like have them not eat it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. A lot of my packages are smaller, but that is a request that I do get. So that probably in the future, that's something I might do, is creating a small sample packet. The problem with that is with the number of machines I have right now, I can't just make 20 different samples I could figure it out.
Yeah.
And I probably just do it in different types of packaging, not the long-term storage packaging.
Sure.
And then that's the other thing too with the farmers markets. I was like, oh, maybe that'd be a great way for people to try it, see if they'd like it.
Yeah.
But I promise you, Heidi, if your kids don't like the freeze-dried fruit, I will refund your money.
Well, I don't question the fruit, but I thought it was, well, and like what we've all went through this year, right? COVID, and things were flying off the shelves, and then derecho when we lost all our food and our, refrigerators and our freezers. We finally got power back, went to the store and got food, and then we lost power again. Luckily it came back on, but I think that was such, it was such a feast or famine time for lots of people. And I know that they would love the fruit. I guess I'm just thinking of like the meat or the cheese or some of that kind of stuff, or the eggs. I just wonder, if they would eat that or not.
The nice thing with the meat, and the eggs, it's just like it would normally taste. You know what I mean? There's really nothing different once you rehydrate it. With the cheese, only difference is that it's crunchy. So a lot of people like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
a light, healthy snack. And actually you brought up a good point that I did want to get to everybody too on the being prepared. I mean, if I could instill another piece of advice is not only have food, you know, it doesn't have to be through me, it can be canned and, you know, whatever, as long as you're prepared, but also having a gravity fed water filter. We were fortunate enough that we didn't lose the, you know, the ability to get water from our taps, but there are situations where that could happen. And then probably another really easy thing that people can do is just get like those little sterno cans if you don't have a gas stove, where you can heat up foods or boil water, things like that. So, I mean, as long as you have food and water and a way to prepare those, and, you know, shelter, of course, you're golden.
Well, and I've got to order those freeze-dried Skittles because you're right, they are all the rave, and my daughter's been looking for them. So
Okay.
it'll be on my first order, Cathy.
Awesome. And I wasn't trying to plug you guys. I mean, Michelle
No,
asked
you should.
about sharing my business. So
You should be asking us to plug you. That's what you're supposed to do. Keep doing it. It's good.
Absolutely.
thanks, Heidi.
Okay, I have to know, what was the very first food that you did?
The very first food. Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember. Oh, well, the first food you have to do is you have to sample your machines and put in just some wet bread pieces just to make sure your machine is working correctly. But I think I did strawberries because that's all the rage. So I was trying to get the best suppliers for strawberries. So, and best suppliers and pricing. That's another thing that I didn't touch on that you reminded me is the great thing about freeze-dried foods is I can buy in bulk at the peak of freshness. So that is another great thing about freeze-dried foods.
Sure. Oh, I just had another question that went out of my head. Does anybody else have anything while I try to remember?
No, but I just wanted to build on that idea of the sample packs. I think that that might be a great entry for someone who is hesitant. You know, you could pick your 2 or 3, maybe 4 top sellers or what you think are the best. And, you know, that just might be a way for people to, well, I'm not so certain, but if I try out of these 4, I'm going to get these little packages. There might be 1 or 2 I really like, and then I'm more willing to order then the next time the big pack of something, you know,
Right.
and that,
Right.
you know, and then it might be over time that, you know, while people might, I want to say, be more likely to order some of the fruits and maybe some of the vegetables. Maybe it could be, hey, you know, after you see some history of them buying those types of things, like, have you ever considered, you know, doing a protein? And, you know, here's a deal.
Right.
Next month, we're going to buy 3 packages of fruit and get a protein one for half price or something, you know, after you kind of get a following. So just a thought. So.
No, that's definitely a great idea. So thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. Always open for suggestions.
So
I was even thinking, I was like, oh, maybe I can get, you know, like an ice cream truck and have a little music playing and have people come out for healthy freeze-dried fruits. But don't worry, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. But I mean, there's so many, you know, weird, wacky things you can do with food. So.
I like the idea. Everyone's doing these. We came to Marion a lot during COVID for all the food trucks that would set up on a street, and then you could socially distance outside and have a meal. So I actually think that's a pretty good idea. You could serve meals from your truck.
And who doesn't like ice cream?
You
I'm on
never
board.
know.
with ice cream. So, Cathy, how do you structure your days? Because, like you said, you're 24/7. So, do you allow yourself like downtime? Do you, on this day you do this, on this day you do this? Is it a mixture? What is your week look like?
My goal is to always keep my machines going. I had to actually slow down on Monday because of the whole KCRG story. It was crazy with the orders and things like that. And like I said, I do hope to expand, but the nice thing about the freeze-dried food as well with the machines, you don't have to be a slave to the machines. You can add time. So like if I have something going on, or if I have to go do a delivery, I can just pop on, add a couple hours dry time, because you can never over dry food. So that is one really nice. So while my food is drying, then of course I spend time packaging. I try to really stay on top of social media. I get a lot of great questions through my website, through Facebook. So I always try to stay on top of that, because I picture that person on the screen at that moment asking a question, and they're not going to buy until they get an answer. And if they walk away from their computer, I might lose a sale. So I always try to be all over the social media questions. Does that answer your question a little bit, Michelle?
Yeah, because I mean, I always think time management is, the key to all of it, and especially when you're in your home, which now so many people are, in their home. How do you manage that? Just trying to not let your normal life stuff, get in the way.
I'll admit, on those days that we had 70-degree weather a couple weeks ago, I made time to get out and do a walk outside. So
Okay, good.
I know that's important.
Amen. Exactly. Does anybody else have any other questions?
So I guess with all that publicity, Cathy, have you gotten more delivery orders here than you have recently? I guess just comment on that. And is that something that you'll continue to do? Is that part of expansion too, is delivering, having delivery in different places? Just curious as far as where that is versus, I'm sure the online sales are the convenience of that is pretty slick for everyone, and you probably spend time packaging that. So then just kind of curious how that's taken up your time.
You cut out a little bit. I think it's because of my internet connection, but I have had more deliveries, which has been great, because in today's world, like I said, I like meeting people, but I also have to be cognizant that some people want that no contact. So I always tell people, hey, when I deliver, I wear a mask, but and I do no contact, but I'm available if you want to talk or ask questions. And I do notice, especially locally, people want to talk, and I love it. You know what I mean? So otherwise, some people in my like my website, there's delivery instructions. They'll just say leave it by the back door, or and then I'm able to let them know, hey, I've delivered. So there are some people, I don't know, they might not be home, but I love delivering, actually, because I like meeting people. So
Well, Cathy, thank you for hopping in. I know you were reluctant, but look at the hour's over and it was fantastic.
I just like meeting people in person. The Zoom thing is like weird to me, but
listen, I'm with you, girl. My favorite part of having my store is just when people come in, and so when we spent several months just having to hand stuff over, it was, it's not the same experience. So I'm with you. I get it. I'd rather chat. But thank you. Thanks everybody for joining us.
I appreciate your guys' time, great questions and support. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.